Hi, welcome to our garden. It's not a very big garden, but my wife Leslie and I sure have been enjoying these tomatoes on our salads every night. I'm not really here to talk about our garden, though. I'm here to talk about your garden, and not specifically a vegetable garden or a flower garden, but instead a garden of faith. In particular, the garden of your community, the people living around your church.
As you probably have heard, at our annual conference in June, the Upper New York Conference approved a 5-year plan for revitalizing 300 of our existing churches and planting 100 new faith communities. We want you to know that we're excited about these 2 new conference-wide programs. And we want to spend some time with you this fall during church conference meetings, imagining new ways God might be calling us to build relationships with new people in our communities and invite them on a journey with us as followers of Jesus Christ. We want to invite you to think about taking a risk this year and to plant something new in your community in order to reach people your church isn't already reaching. Personally, I think our goal of 100 new faith communities is way low, because I believe every single church in our conference could start a new faith community in their own neighborhood. You know, as I thought about this video the other day, I was online looking at images of seeds and was amazed at how much variety there is in the seeds around the world. Every imaginable shape and color, texture can be found in the seeds that God has given the living things in this world. Incredible. Hold on to these diverse images as you think about the kinds of new ministries God might call you to plant in your local community garden. We believe that whether your church already has 3 services or you have 10 people in attendance each Sunday morning, God has given the people in your congregation some unique gifts and interests and abilities that will allow you to build relationships in ways that are unique and effective in your community. The temptation for us, of course, when we want to reach new people is to copy the program that some other church has used to bring in new people. Not a good idea. Because your church probably doesn't have the same set of gifts and resources that that church does. But you probably have some that will allow you to reach people that that other church could never reach. Just like the seeds in our world are remarkably diverse, every church's ministry should be unique and match the gifts of its people. Let me give you a few examples of the kind of things that I'm thinking of as I'm talking about this. A few years ago, a local pastor of a church in Pennsylvania recognized that she wasn't the only person in her community who loved to ride horses. She also noticed that most of her riding friends were not churchgoers. So, with the support of her congregation and her district superintendent, she started a cowboy service once a month. And within 3 months, she was having 50 people coming to services on horseback. More than half of those people had never been to church before in their lives. Many of them came to Christ. Another pastor in Ohio was a dog lover, and she found herself meeting lots of people at her local dog park, and discovered most of them were also not committed to any community of faith. So, with the blessing of her congregation, even her trustees, she started a dog service where people could bring their dogs to an evening service, and each month the themes of the worship and sermon were inspired by things that we learn about God from our relationship with dogs. By the 6th month, she had 40 people coming to the service, and their dogs were peaceably greeting one another across the aisles of the sanctuary. You might be able to see where I'm going here. The possibilities for new ministries designed to attract new people are limited only by our imaginations. One church in my district has been tossing around a biker service for motorcycle enthusiasts for years, and I'm encouraging them to just jump in with both Harleys, so to speak. Now that could be really an interesting community of faith, don't you think? How many of you know people who are golfers? And they say, and when you ask them, why aren't you seeing them in church anymore? They say things like this to you. I worship God in nature on Sunday morning on the links. Well, What would happen if instead of making them feel guilty for the choice they're making to skip worship on Sundays, you engage them in helping you design a worship experience for golfers? What would happen if you met on the grounds of a local golf course before teeing off with them? Love to quilt or sew? What would happen if you extended your quilters group to people in the community and got them involved with you in sewing mission projects? Got them talking about their own faith journeys as you sit around the craft table together, and invited them to discuss scriptures and find ways of living out faith in the world? Wouldn't that make a new community of faith? What kind of people, new people, might your church reach with a ministry like that? Can you see how ministries like these could be entirely lay-driven and not dependent on any way on the pastor? My friends, I believe it's time we unleash all the gifts and passions of the people of the United Methodist Churches in Upper New York, not just the clergy. Those of us on the cabinet believe that God is always creating something new. Wouldn't you like to be partners with God doing something like that? The key thought we hope you'll play with today in this Charge Conference meeting and in the weeks ahead is the possibility of planting something new that feels natural to you because it grows out of something you're already passionate about. We're trying to nurture a planting culture in our annual conference, where churches are planting new things all the time, not waiting for some conference program or expert to come and tell them what to do, but rather feeling freed up to take risks and start new things all the time, always seeking to find some way to build relationships with new people. We want to weed out all language of failure from our vocabulary. Planting new things does not always prove as fruitful as we hope, but that doesn't mean we ever stop trying. If my tomato plants back in my garden don't produce like I hope, I'll try to learn from the experience and do something different next year, always seeking to be a better gardener. Same idea with church planting. So, we're inviting you to take a few minutes now in groups of 3 or 4 to discuss just a couple of questions. First question is this. Look at each other in your small group and just ask, what do each of us love to do? What are your passions? What are the hobbies that you like to do together? What are the things you do outside the church that you just love? And then the second question is there some way that God might use that passion to help you as a church build relationships with new people in your community? While you're doing that, I'm just going to sit back and relax and watch and wonder as God keeps growing not only delicious cherry tomatoes, but beautiful new communities of faith all over Upper New York Conference. Have a great day.